So this is a political channel where I discuss the politics of America in 2020 and beyond. And I don't play console games. The last console that I owned was a PlayStation 2. I would play SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain over and over and make custom wrestlers to battle the wrestling superstars. To show you how long ago that was the last WWE game to feature Chris Benoit. So I'm not one of the modern console generation. Frankly, I don't understand why people would pay $60 for a game that they cannot resell back to the game store or used. Everything's streamed online. So the game manufacturers have succeeded in retaining full ownership of their games even after you purchase them, which seems like a legal quagmire to me. Anyway, the current controversial game of the moment is The Last of Us Part 2, made by Naughty Dog Productions and Sony. The story content of this game led Sony to do copyright strikes against different review sites such as Geeks and Gamers, Jeremy there, and Heel vs. Babyface, simply for the crime of discussing the impending release of this game. They had copyright strikes against them. And here's a image from DeviantArt. I'm actually focused on here is, now that they're allowed to talk about the game, the different reviewers have a lot of concerns and complaints about Last of Us 2. Here, one of the best reviewers, Young Rippa59, he has multiple posts complaining about what happens to their favorite characters from The Last of Us 1, where the Last of Us 2 is messed up, things like that. And that is the theme here of Geeks and Gamers. Heel vs. Babyface, his website was struck down. He wasn't able to do live streams. Jeremy on Geeks and Gamers was not allowed to do live streams, all for the crime of discussing this game before its release. That's a separate issue, and obviously that's a giant mega corporation overexerting themselves over people's First Amendment rights. Of course, you have no First Amendment rights on a privately owned company, which is YouTube. If Heel versus Babyface could drive a dump truck full of cash up to the headquarters of YouTube, I'm sure they would give him preferential treatment over Sony. If Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers could drive a dump truck of cash up to YouTube's front door, they would prefer his content over Naughty Dog. These people complaining about Last of Us 2 have a common theme. They don't like playing a villainous character in the game because this villainous character did something bad to one of their favorite characters from the first game. Their complaints all center around a logical error. The logical error is that Naughty Dog and Sony do not like to make money. The logical error is that Last of Us Part 2 is the final game. So these people are disappointed that they don't get revenge against a certain character in this game. Well, folks, if Last of Us 2 is going to make $1 billion, maybe Sony and Naughty Dog Entertainment, maybe they'd like to make $1 billion off a third movie and a fourth movie until people stop buying them. I mean, that is so basically obvious that it answers everyone's complaints about not getting the resolution they sought in this game. Last of Us 2. What other franchise did not resolve all the issues in the second installment? Oh, wait. That's Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. It was really disappointing when we didn't see Darth Vader finally defeated in the second Star Wars movie. What a letdown. There's not going to be any future Star Wars movies made after this, so let's just complain about how this movie didn't complete every bit of fan satisfaction, tie up all the loose ends, and so forth. I wonder what Sony will do. Maybe they'll expect to make another $1 billion off of the third movie. or a third game. These games are just movies anyway, which is why I don't play consoles anymore. I really thought that in the year 2020 we would have gotten away from this style of game making. But as long as it makes $1 billion, I guess they'll keep churning out garbage like this. As long as it looks pretty, and the gaming audience is perfectly happy being led by the nose from point A to point B in a game, with no choices at all to make, other than not dying. They are heartfelt reviewers, and they give you their honest feelings and views about this game. And the company that tried to strike down free discussion about this game. But let's be realistic, folks. As long as Sony expects to make another $1 billion off each installment of this game, they're not going to give you any resolution in Last of Us 2, Last of Us 3, or Last of Us 50. Sorry, as long as you keep throwing money at this franchise, it's never going to end. And the only way you could end it is if you sold Last of Us 2 to Disney and had them ruin the franchise, like Star Wars. But I just thought I'd have fun going over a game I have no intention of ever playing, even if it was given to me for free. Thank you.